This morning, my day started off with a phone call that said one of the conveyors that we feed the cows with had a splice that was broken. So that's what I was going to do, is go fix that. On the way out of the driveway, I remembered I was supposed to put a spring in an actuator for a silo unloader. The spring broke, so I have a new spring to put in. Not a very hard job, but when I took off the cover, I realized the spring was fine and the bolt just fell out. So I didn't have a 1/4-inch lock nut, but looking around, there was a broken bolt with a regular 1/4-inch nut on it. I was able to take off and use that. Otherwise, I would have to go up to the shop to get one, which would have taken more time, and I was in a hurry to go fix that conveyor belt. I was pretty happy because this job could have been a little bit harder, but since it was just a bolt, I was able to fix it relatively easily with the nut that I found. And right now, I'm using my pliers to screw the threads up because it's not a lock nut, and screwing the threads up would hopefully keep it from rattling off like it did the first time. Now I'm just putting the cover back on. Just checking to make sure it works. Like a charm. I noticed I had a sliver in my thumb on the way back to the truck. I got myself a little sliver. I got a little metal sliver right here. And it's been bothering me. It hurts like the dickens. I don't know how I could ever be like in the Civil War. I'd have to just stop fighting because I have a sliver. There. I think I got it. Okay, back to work. So this is our splicing stuff. That's how we're gonna fix our belt. And I gotta get stuff. Gotta get everything we need. There. So we need, this belt is up in the airways, so I had to get my ladder. First I couldn't find it anywheres. Then I remembered I had it sitting by the shop because the rivet was broken on it. So I had to knock the old rivet out, and my plan was to put a new bolt in there, a 5/16 bolt. Well, it was just a little bit too big of a bolt for the hole, so I had to drill the holes out. This really needed a rivet, but a bolt with a lock nut would work because it can't just be a regular nut, because you don't want it tight. You want it to be loose so it can still pivot. Well, now that we got that thing on there, I think we're finally ready to go get the conveyor fixed. And I picked up a new habit. Now I am addicted to candy cigarettes. It's probably as bad as real cigarettes. But something to calm my nerves, and I've been practicing a few tricks. Way safer than a lit cigarette. Here we are, finally at the scene of the crime. Sure enough, splice is messed up, but good news. Most of the little staple things are still looking good. Now, this feed gets put on way over there, goes up this incline, drops down to this horizontal belt, goes through the wall, goes outside, then it comes back into the barn, keeps going, drops down to that conveyor. Now it's going this way above the feeder, the feed bunk, and that little plow right there pushes it off, and that travels back and forth, which feeds all those cows. So, trying to handle this ladder, it's super tall, heavy, and awkward. Kind of like me in junior high. Just kidding. I wasn't very tall. To work on this splice, we have to have some slack in the belt, take the pressure off how that thing is pulling. So I have to loosen up the tensioner bolts on the end. And I had to get up there with my crescent wrench. And I didn't want to get the spider webs and all this dirt and moldy feed, all this crap all over me. So I'm trying to brush it off because I know what happens. It gets all down your shirt and your hair and you just eat it pretty much. So I'm up there going to town on this thing with a crescent wrench, 1 inch at a time, realizing that the splice should be at the top of the belt to fix rather than underneath, so it's way easier to work on. And also, why am I using a crescent wrench when I got a bunch of Milwaukee tools to do the job? So I'm moving the splice around the corner so it's right up in the top, easy to work on. And I had to use a drill with a little socket adapter to put a 7/8 impact socket on it because my 3/8 impact does not have the right adapter for my 1/2 inch drive 7/8 deep well socket. I'm up here with the drill and was able to loosen that belt up in no time at all. You never want to just line up the splice and drive the pin through it because you're going to fight every little piece of dirt in those little eyelets. So I'm cleaning out each side individually first, just to confirm there's no bent staples or anything in there. And there's a lot of gross feed that it takes a little bit of work to get it cleaned out. So I believe if I wouldn't have done this individually, I never would have got it all in one shot like a brand new application. So I have to pull the belt toward me to make those things come together. Now it's coming together because I'm pulling everything toward me and I got to line them all up. And once they're in there like that, I can start lining the pin up and joining the lace. That's what that's called. It's called a belt lace. So I'm working it, and there's one in the middle where it actually ripped out. So I'll have to remove that one. And the belt will still function totally fine with one little piece missing. Just going to rip it out with my pliers here. Now my initial instinct was to pull the half pin out first, but then once I thought about it, I realized that's going to help me if I leave that together and put the new pin in halfway, and then all I got to do is pull the half pin out and continue pushing the new one all the way through the rest of the way. Now that I got it all the way through, I have to bend it at a 90 so it doesn't work its way back out. And I'm bending it straight up so I can use the weight of the belt to kind of help me give that 90. And then I'm going to turn it so it's the leading edge, the direction that it's going, has got the curve on it, and the tail is going to be the trailing edge. And I was going to cut off the little extra tail because I'm not a hack job. There. Nice. Now all I got to do is tighten the belt back up. So again, I'm glad I got my drill application where I can make this go a lot faster than the stupid crescent wrench. There's the completed lace, just missing one little piece in the middle. Beautiful. I stuck around to make sure it tracked right. Perfect. Your lunch is coming. I just fixed it. It's coming. Just wait a minute. After the conveyor got fixed, I had afternoon calf chores. So this cow just had her baby, and I had to put the necklace on with the ear tag number hanging on the necklace so we can keep track of who he is. Callie's going to start college, and she's getting stressed out not knowing what to bring.
Can I bring like a scooter?
You can bring a bike.
You want to bring a bike? My bike looks lame.
With some tassels on it.
I want underglow, actually.
Clayton can do that.
I want it lifted, and I want it faced. It's like bringing an umbrella. I've never owned an umbrella in my life. That's a good point. She's like, I gotta be top dog there. I gotta assert my dominance over my roommate.
All right, honey. Let's go feed some calves.
Katie, you're making them mad. You gotta come, girl. You're making them mad. It's okay. Hey, Dan. She's got feet hanging out of her. The one that's back over here.
One walking around?
Yeah. She's got feet.
Bag already open?
I don't know, but she's got feet.
Well, that's why she's there.
I thought that was her calf.
No,
Oh.
this is the next one.
Oh. Okay. Well, I just don't know if she should be pulled.
We don't always have to pull calves. Hardly ever anymore, it seems. But once in a while, the calves are really big, and the cows need a little help, just like people. I'm just leaning into it, giving some good, steady pull, and letting her push through. Once the calf's head comes out, that's usually the biggest battle. And then the shoulders are the next one. And once the ribs come out and just the back legs are kind of still in there, we typically kind of let it hang just for a second or two, just so any fluid in the lungs are able to come out. Now, I don't want to take away her glory, but I was pretty exhausted pulling on those chains. Ones are kind of hard to see her features because they all blend together when they're black like that.
She's got like little baby deer feet.
They're nice little hooves. See, I told you you'd get hoofed by them.
She's so little though.
If you get hoofed by them, it hurt.
I can pick her up. I can't pick them up. That's a little dude.
Speaking of some of these new boots, too. Those are almost old as fuck.
We have to get out to the thing. I wonder if we should ask Irie. Oh, you have got to be kidding me. Don't. You have a weird tongue.
Feeding the babies. Out there, they're bad too?
Yeah. It's I think this side might be weaned
Oh.
on this side. Cause there's no grain. One morning water afternoon, 26 to 29. Yeah, that's I think. What? One morning, one afternoon, 9 to 29.
It's been a long day already. Started off with just a couple small jobs, and we ended up having 3 calves today and fixing a ladder on top of everything to fix the conveyor belt. It's a good thing I got my 3 helpers to keep me company while I'm trying to feed these guys milk. Holly's just finishing up graining them and noticed there was some in the wrong pens, so we had to go and shuffle them around.
I'm a hot mess.
This little guy was kind of new and didn't really know how to drink out of a pail yet, so I had to get a bottle for him. Now we just got one more job to do, is feed these steers, and let me tell you, I'm exhausted. The last half of the day feeding all those calves, I'm glad Holly was there to help me. Now I'm going to take her out to dinner tonight. I think we'll get Italian. I'm sure glad I got her to help me, otherwise I'd still be in the barn feeding those calves.